Okay, so here we go. So go ahead and let's set up your vanishing points. We're going to keep it with 2 points. Go ahead and, honestly, they can stay right around this location. So you might have them set there. And so let's keep them there. Okay. And maybe we'll just move it up a bit like that. Okay. So something around that would be good. All right. So, there's always like the classic things to do in perspective teaching, the roads, the buildings, etc. And so one of the things that we did at 1 point that I think would be good to do in 2 point to begin with is like a chair. Okay. So we're going to start off with, let's move our first vertical line. Let's move it so that it's closer to the right vanishing point and further away from the left vanishing point. So go ahead and just put in a vertical line. How long? We don't want it to go too far down to the bottom, y'all, because you're going to get like that extreme distortion. And I don't want it to go over the horizon line. Okay. So again, if it's too long, it's going to get distorted. So don't make it too long. Okay. Right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make this the back of the chair, and we'll build the front of the chair from that. So let's go ahead and just do orthogonal to that vanishing point. And then we're going to do, pardon me, we're going to do an orthogonal to that vanishing point. Again, notice how as it gets closer to the horizon line, it gets more and more horizontal. So as we've done with other things, let's use our personal experiences, that which we have lived, to understand the relationship between the height and the width of the chair. So if a chair is this high, generally we probably would imagine it to be, if it was a single person chair, maybe say around this wide here. So a chair's footprint, the footprint of this chair, in this case, it's going to have 4 legs, okay, is going to be square. Now, what's cool about perspective, I always think, is like we could make this the back and it could be facing that way. Or we could make this like, make this the back and the seat could be out here. Or we could make this the back and the seat could be out here. Okay, so, or maybe it's a double-sided chair. I don't know. Is that a thing? Could be. Okay, but let's just make our lives a little bit simple. There's enough difficulty in the world. So we're going to come down here, okay, and we're going to work outwards. So we're going to come this way to where we think that we appear to have a square. So that will go back there. Like this. Like this. That's going to go all the way back there. Now, we could have just started with the square of the footprint, but it was quite honestly, more important for me to determine the height to width ratio first of the back edge of the chair. So that's what I did. Okay, so then I'm just going to build a rectangle. So I'm going to pull my lines up here. And then if I drag this that way and hit the vanishing point and then come back, it's going to intersect with that front line. And I can pick that up from there and drag it to the left side to intersect with that vanishing point. that tells me that this vertical line needs to go higher up to hit that orthogonal that hits that vanishing point. So again, that top edge, it's closer to the horizon line, so it's going to be flatter. You can see the orientation of the lower square is more like a diamond. The horizon line is our eye level. The closer to the horizon line, the more flat something's going to become. Think about holding a coin up to your face and like rotating the coin and like having it at different positions in space to your eye level. So this bottom square is going to be wider and more of a diamond shape than the top, perhaps.
Professor, I had a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So my bottom square isn't lining up with my, like, the first line in the rectangle thing that we made. They're lopsided, and I don't know how you got it to be even.
Do you have the 2-point tool on?
Yeah, they're on, and I got to a center point, but it's still like both of my squares are.
Resume the recording. So now we are here. Okay, and so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a new layer, just did that, and I'm going to change my color. Okay, and after changing my color, boop, and I'm on my new layer, I'm going to find the center of that rectangle. I'm going to go from this corner to that corner, this corner to that corner. Okay, and over here, I'm going to go this corner to that corner, that back corner to this corner. Now, turn off my tool and go to my perspective tool. And from this point, I'm going to go just back and forth. There we go. Then I can do the same thing back there. Now don't get confused. I didn't do the front and back. I just did the two sides. But of course, easy peasy lemon squeezy. I can now, because this line is now intersected with my vertical corner, I can drag my orthogonal back there. Same thing here. I can drag my corner back there. Okay. And now I'm starting to build. So let's make a new layer, y'all. Let's lower the opacity of that layer. Let's lower the opacity of this layer. But let's go ahead right now. And I don't mind what color you use. Use any color you like. I'm going to go with sort of a gray lavender. And let's trace the lines that we need of the chair.
Could you please make that a little bit darker? It's hard to see against the background. I can't really tell which ones you're tracing. Oh.
Yeah, that was kind of like my plan. But yeah, I can definitely do that. Boop, 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 boop. Give me one sec. Let me trace this. I don't. Will that be okay once I finish tracing them? Will you be able to see it?
What do you mean?
Like, let me just finish tracing them, and then maybe that will just help clarify.
Okay.
that better?
Yes.
Because I could also
We
adjust the HSL.
Once all the background lines are gone, then I can see it well. I was just trying to follow along so I don't get lost. But
Sure.
is it okay?
So,
mine doesn't exactly. You can't see the back leg on mine. Maybe the front of mine is a little bit too low.
does the front leg, this one, does that front leg just line up right over it?
No, from what I can see on mine, the seat is covering it.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I mean, as long as that, like, you can identify what the issue is, I think that's okay. And thank you for the request, Ariel. That's, I'm sure, something other people were wondering as well. So I just marked my horizon line and my vanishing points for you so that while you're working on this, I can do this. I don't know if that helps. There you go. Now, the issue here, of course, is that even if this is like a super modernist chair, that like the legs are like paper here. The seat, the back, it's all like paper. So we now need to identify thicknesses of forms, right? So now the real work begins. Everybody ready? If I turn on my gallery view, can you put your thumbs up if you're ready? Okay. Ashton, you good? Okay. All right, here we go. That was most of you. So if you need me to slow down, just say slow down, and I will. Okay. So now let me zoom in. It's like my favorite thing I've ever, had taught to me. That I can do that. It's brilliant. Makes me very happy. Okay, so let's talk about thicknesses. Okay, like how do we decide and discover thicknesses of forms? So perception. Okay, so we're going to talk about perception, but we could also talk about like measurable distances. Let me run through measurable distances first, and then we could also talk about perception second. Because the two things are relatively the same. The only big difference, of course, is like one is based on pure perception and the other is based on measurable different distances. So one will feel more nice to you than the other. I want to pay attention real fast here. I'm just going to go back in and I'm going to grab my eraser and I'm just going to actually erase that because I don't need it and I'm going to get confused. I'm going to erase that because I don't need it and I'm going to get confused. I get confused easy like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, right, is like All right, so how can I find the thickness of the chair leg? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the space on the bottom here, corner to corner. Now, if you want to follow along, you can, but I'm just going to go through this so you can see this idea. It's not that much different from the other way, but it's just a little bit slower, I think. And also, it's not as developmental. It's not developing your perceptual skills quite as much. So once I have that, I can then do what we've done all along, right? I can find that center. I can find that center. And then what I'm going to do, just going to change my colors a wee little bit. And I'm going to go back to my draw tool. I'm going to find center to center, center to center. Okay, and then I'm going to go like this. Boop, boop. Okay, and I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to go here. I'm going to change my color a little bit for you. And I'm going to go center to center. So you can see what you're doing here. The same thing we did, right, when we found windows and things like that, right? So then I can go, all right, so there's that and that. So now I can say that the thickness of the chair legs are always going to be, oh no, math. That would be 1/4 and 1/8 of the distance, okay? So then what I can do, right, is I can go over this side and I can go, okay, so go here and I'm going to use this tool and I'm going to go corner to corner, boop, 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 and then turn that on and I'm going to go back and forth there and then I'm going to go to here. I'm going to change my color and I'm going to go corner to corner, boop, 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 boop. Okay, then I'm going to go over here. Right, makes sense. We've done it before. It makes sense. You understand it. Okay, so now we're going to take that. Okay, and after we've got that, we're going to just make a new layer. We're going to take that, and I'm going to lower that opacity down. Okay, and then in my new layer, I'm going to divide my space now in the opposite direction. So I'm going to go corner to corner, corner to corner. Okay, so then that gives me this. And for some of you, this will always be your chosen method, always, because you're just mathematical. You know, or you're going to be an architect or furniture designer and people's lives are at risk. Yeah, whatever. So then this will go to this, okay. And so then we're going to go to the other side and we're going to go here and here, here and here. I can see there's a chat, but you're going to have to hold on. If you can vocalize that question, I would prefer it.
I was just saying that my computer just completely crashed and I'm gonna need a minute to restart it.
Oh, okay. Totally understandable. So now
Sorry,
I've,
thank you.
oh, that's okay. What can you do? So now we're like this, y'all. So now we've divided everything into quarters, both into the left vanishing point and to the right vanishing point. And so then if I drag that down, I can now see in the corner of each chair leg, sorry, yeah, that's the right language I want to use. In the corner of each chair leg, I now have a measurable space. See? That one was a little bit outside of my edge. This is 100% the absolute mathematical linear perspective, giving props to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle artists way to do this. Okay. Totally correct. So you can see I've got 4 measurable areas now that I can build from. Love it. Perfect. Questions? So then what I would do, of course, then is I'm going to pull up. I'm going to pull up. I'm going to pull up. And then that's going to give me a measurable space. Whoop. Over here, which I can use to create. Oh, now I'm confused. Yeah, that was correct. Top leg. Okay. Beautifully done. Well done. Pat myself on the back. What if, however, and so that's a totally fine way to do that, you're going to get a really, really good measurement each time. As long as you don't do what I did right there with that back corner where I misaligned my corner, it's going to work gorgeously. Okay. Now what we're going to do now is basically the same thing, but the difference is that instead of saying we're going to have like this numerical division, we're going to practice just visual perception. And y'all, 98% of what we just did is totally going to happen here. Okay. The only difference is that instead of starting off by saying it's going to be X by X based on this measurement, we're going to make one leg and I want you to feel it. I want you to feel the proportional relationship that you think is accurate for the length and the width of that one leg. Why? Both ways are accurate, y'all. Both ways are perfect. Why this? Because I want you to develop your muscle memory, and also I want you to develop your ability to feel space. So I have a friend, she's an absolutely amazing artist. She has art in the Smithsonian Museum. She's brilliant. And she did this really famous sculpture that honestly became famous because of millennials. It's a pair of brass knuckles, and coming out the top of the brass knuckles are crystals. You've probably seen the meme, and the meme says, when your chakras need to be aligned, mother effer. And that's actually the title of her piece. That's what she actually called it. And it became this hugely shared work of art through memes. And that led to that work of art being discovered by the Smithsonian. And that led to her becoming a really renowned artist. Okay. She was already well known, but that really set her off. And she is so hardcore. The only word I've ever used to describe her is metal. I just think she's metal. Like, she pours bronze, she uses hammers, she welds, she like lives in the desert. She's just metal. That's the only word I can ever think of her. And when I start talking about feeling in art, she calls it my woo-woo artist. She's like, that's your woo-woo artist. That's the stuff that's like the stuff that's just really like, you know, it's new agey, you know. And I don't disagree with that. You know, I'm asking you to look at something and to feel. You know, how do you feel space? How do you feel distance? Right? Now, this is coming from a lady who's well known for using crystals and everything, right? But the fact is that, like, it is touching into something which is not about mathematics. It is not about pure logic. It's about feeling. Okay. And so, bless her soul, we're going to do some woo-woo feeling here. So I've felt that space. I feel it. It feels good. I'm like, that feels like a good chair leg. Well, now all I need to do is just draw this line this way, right? Draw that line that way. Boop. And then over here, now I just need to feel that back distance. Now, I'm very sensitive to my feelings. So I know that this back distance is smaller than the front. I want you to drag that line over there. Okay. Now over here, again, we're just going to feel that distance there. It needs to be longer than the back. And then I'm going to drag it up. Now I've got this one. Why? Why do I want you to do that? Because I just want you to develop that skill. I believe that there are some things in art that are worth developing that you can only kind of develop, right? Like in art. So yesterday I had a student in my design class and they don't get much interaction with me. So when I get it, I'm just like, you came for 10 minutes, but you're staying an hour. And we started talking about his design. And in the end, I was talking about like, you know, why the Germans hated Bauhaus during the 1940s. And he was just like rolling his eyes. He's like, I gotta go. And I'm like, that, but that's the thing, right? Like, is that everything, that there's more to the simple in art. There's always something else, something else, something else, something else. And I want you to feel that. Okay, so now I've got like a pretty good sense of where those legs are going to go. I can simply just draw that up, and draw that up. Now, if after you do all this, you discover, uh-oh, I haven't built anything that remotely looks like a square at the top, then maybe you might want to go back and refeel that distance. Do you see how that's working? A little bit off there somehow. How am I off? Oh, that line goes a little higher. And that line comes a little closer. There we go. Nothing is wrong with either way, but definitely if you're like in design class and your instructor tells you, okay, you need to do this and this and this, then you probably should follow their, follow what they ask you to do. Like, this isn't the way that you would build something, right? Like it wouldn't stand up. But it will start to work visually if you do it enough and feel it enough, it will come together. So now we have this. So now our next step is just to feel, sorry about that, your distance here. Feel that space. How thick should that be? If you pull it all the way out here, boop, it's going to interact with that, boop. That's going to interact with that. And that's going to go under the chair. You might not even need that line. Visually, if we were to build it, I better build it with you. I'm not doing my job right if I don't build it right. So I'm going to build it right. There we go. Let's just build everything. Have fun. Work with the Legos. Okay. And then when you're ready, take that, diminish its opacity, and then you can go back to the layer that you drew your, is it this one? This one. Boo, boo, boo. You can go back to that layer. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to pick up my color I used. And I'm going to use my perspective tool and I'm going to build my legs. I'm only going to draw what I'm going to end up seeing. But don't get confused, that back leg back there, that's going to be hidden now by the thickness of the front leg. So I'm going to erase that. Because I'm not going to need it. So then, you know, you're designing this chair. You could even stop it there. Maybe you don't even need that vertical line there. And maybe this is an IKEA chair. Which means that you can't, you know, don't buy it if you hope to move apartments soon because it's not going to move with you, you know. That's a IKEA joke. Sorry, I'm like the worst. Now, we have like that, right? Well, I don't know, is that working? It's working, it's functioning okay, but is it visually interesting? I don't know. We could also then take it and we could say, well, actually, I do want this here. And I want this here. Right, and actually I want this over here. I don't want this. But you know, darn it if I don't want this up here. So I can turn this on so I can see it. But I'm going to draw this little bit here. I don't need to draw all the other stuff. Just going to draw this. Draw that. Draw this. Draw that. Go in here and draw this. Draw that. So now I have like that. I don't know. I think that looks pretty cool. Let's zoom out of that. Then for the back of the chair, I could do whatever I want. Now I could do this. It doesn't quite work because it doesn't have a thickness here. right? But what I could do is I could do that. That. I could do this here. Just going to clean up that edge. Do that, and then I could say, okay, well, you know, make a new layer here. I'm gonna do this the right way. I'm gonna find the center of this space here. And I'm gonna take that back here. Because the thing is, if that chair back hasn't got a thickness to it, it's just gonna fall right over. So I'm gonna do that. And then I can pull, I'm gonna change colors here so you can see it. I'm gonna pull a line up here. A line up here. A line up here. Another line up here. Boop, 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 boop. Then of course we're gonna go that way. And this is going to go from boop, 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 there. It's almost at the horizon line, so it's almost like exactly a straight line. That's going to go that way. This is going to come, oh, nope, that's not right. This is then going to come in here. So we're not really going to see much of the top up there at all. So then in the end, we're going to have something kind of, it's going to look a little bit weird. If we copy that color and we go in, come to here, and then that's going to go up there. And that's going to go over here. It's going to come up here. It's going to go there. So you can see, right, it's basically touching the horizon line back there. And so as a result, you're not going to see much. Now, if you've decided to make a different looking chair, that's okay. As long as you understand the principles. Pretty cool, pretty fine with that. We do have that problem, right? When it gets almost exactly to the horizon line, it starts to almost completely fall apart. So then this is going to come over here. And this is going to go in there. And the final result would look something like this. It's just really annoyingly close to the horizon line. But that's basically what we could do. And we could also just do something like, okay, well, actually, it's got a really nice mitered corner. I like a good mitered corner. So it could look like something like that. Who's struggling? It's okay to struggle, right? What I'm trying to kind of imply a little bit here for you is that, you know, it's okay to have some imagination. As long as you understand the idea and the principle, it will work. So the trick with this stuff, right, is to like keep it very like Bauhaus furniture design. Like, let's not go to the 80s. You know, everything rounded, cushions, couches look like cars with headlights. I don't know. It's just not go there. Okay. All right, let's just take like 5 minutes to wrap it up, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Here's my friend Deborah. She looks pretty metal, right? I think she looks metal. And then this is the piece I was telling you about. This is her piece that landed up in the Smithsonian. You may have seen that. Maybe it was a Gen Z thing. I don't know. Maybe not the millennials. Wait, are millennials before Gen Z? Is that right? So maybe y'all are Gen Zers, and it was more millennials. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a great piece of art. That's for sure. More time, please. Was that recent? No, that was, all right, that was a while ago. Oh, we're still recording. And okay, so I'm just gonna hide all those final layers, okay? There we go. Okay, and let's leave we want to leave everything in the same spot. Okay. Let's just give ourselves a reminder of where that chair is, so we don't drool over it. Okay. So let's just take our straight line tool here. Well, actually, we can use this one here, and we need a new layer. We can go in my new layer here. So there's our chair in there. All right. So let's just go a little bit further back. Let's go about here. And let's start from that line. And then let's just draw down. Let's just draw down. Let me draw down. Oh, because I'm on the eraser. There you go. I'm just using that back orthogonal because it's an easy line to use. I'm going to use that. Now, we don't want to place a lot of stuff on those orthogonals that are already there because they will disappear. Whatever we build will disappear if we end up using the same sort of orthogonals. I'm a little afraid about that, but let's go a little bit higher so the orthogonals don't line up exactly. Okay, and let's just go back. Let's go back. Okay. Then on this side, we're going to go to the left. To the left. Okay. Let's pull straight down there. Let's go back there. And we want this to be kind of steep. So let's pull straight here. pull back there. Pull back there. Pull back there. Pull down there. Oh, what did I do? Ah, it's this line back here. I got a bit of a bump back there. That's definitely not the best. I'm going to pull that up. And so where that intersects there, I should now pull that over. Yeah, you can see the difference there that I created. That's a measurable difference, y'all. I need to be careful of that. Where was that? That was back here. I kind of like the cursor on the desktop for the perspective. It's kind of nice how you can line it up. Why is it doing that? I don't know what's going on, honestly. See, I like it when you get to see me struggle. Why is it doing that? Should not be doing that. Why is it doing that? If your lines aren't matching, y'all, it's always worth it to go find out why. I think now I'm quite a different shape. I'm sorry about that. That's better. Just off where I'm not being careful, like here. That goes here, you see. Whew, that made me sweat. Okay. Professor, I can't draw a cube. All right. Oh, thank goodness that worked. Okay, so now I've got a second cube finally. Okay, I'm now gonna zoom out a little bit. Okay. What should we make? Should we make a table or should we make some stairs? That's our two options. What should we do?
Stairs.
Stairs it is. Okay, good on you. Okay, here we go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to go grab our straight line tool. Okay, now let's go ahead and really, this is just going to help us overall. Okay, so let's divide this space here and here. We're going to do it. We're not going to do Professor Vaughn style here. We're gonna do math style, which, you know, boo. Okay, but that's okay. So we've got our space here, right? And then we're gonna go from here. Boop, 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 to there. And here, boop, 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 to there. Okay, now I'm going to take this one. I'm going to go just through there. That's all I need. You know, but the idea, right? Like, as it goes all the way to the left vanishing point. Okay, now I'm going to take that, lower the opacity. Okay, and then I'm going to make a new layer above it. And then through that space, I'm going to go up. Okay. And then we're going to go over. And then down. I'm gonna make a new layer. Gonna lower that opacity. Oh, not the new, sorry. Lower the opacity of this layer. Okay, now this layer, I'm gonna go back and do my draw tool. I can just keep the same color because I lowered the opacity. I'm gonna go corner to corner. That one's already done. Don't need to do it. I turn on my perspective tool, and from the center, I'm gonna pull over. Then I'm gonna go straight up. Boop. And from there, I'm gonna go straight over. Boop. Here, I'm gonna go straight up. Boop. I don't know why I have to say boop. It's probably really annoying. So I won't say boop. I'll just go like that, nice and quiet. All right, so we're gonna pull this line here to that line. Think about what we just did, y'all. We divided the space in half vertically, and then we divided that half back there into quarters. Okay, so this is a quarter and that is a quarter. So that right there and this, even though this front one looks a bit longer, it is a quarter and that is a quarter in perspective. So now if I then drag this over there, boop, 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 boop. Sorry, I'm sorry. It's just so much fun. I draw this here. That. Okay. Then I can come down here. I can go over here. And go over there. And so then I don't need this line. It's a bit confusing. I'm going to get rid of that real quick. Isn't that line? No, it's this line. See? Now we have two stairs. But that's not going to get us anywhere. We need more than 2 stairs. So of course you could get rid of this if you want. You know, you want them to be solid. Don't want them to be, you know, if you want them to be solid. Okay, but you know, if I take that off, you can see that it's starting to become stairs, right? Now, I'm going to turn my perspective tool back on. Okay, now to create those 2 back stairs, we divided that back space into quarters. Okay, so guess what? Let's go ahead and turn that off so it's not confusing. Make a new layer. Okay, that way you can all see that. I'm going to pull this down here. Oh, I said hello. Oh, on the eraser. Going to pull this down here, and guess what we're going to do after we do that? If we pull this over here, now we've got a new space back there. You know, before we did the top space, now we're going to do the bottom space. Okay, so then we can go to our draw tool, and we can find the center. Like that. Now I'm going to draw straight up like that. Okay, now we've got 1 quarter and another quarter. What I'm going to do, right, is I'm going to draw this. I'm just going to do that. I'm going to draw this over. Boop. Okay, and then from this point here, I'm going to draw. Hello, I said you're going to draw that way. Boop. Okay. Then here, draw over. Boop. Draw down. Okay. Now you can see that the stairs are getting smaller as they go to the back, which is what we want. Okay. Now I'm going to do my middle here. It's going to go over because it's going to that back there. Intersects here. That goes through here. That comes down here. Boop. That comes through here. That goes back there. So very nice, very logical, very mathematical. I'm just going to go with black for you all. And I'm going to just trace the layers of the stuff that we need on a new layer. We need this. Gonna need that. Gonna need this. Gonna need that. That takes us to the top of this stair here, which then interacts with that, which then interacts with this, which takes us up to this stair, which then takes us all the way over here to that, which pulls us down to this, which takes us back to that, which goes over there, which comes over here, which goes up through there, which comes over here. Ah! Messed up my flow, which comes over here, which goes over there, It comes back to there. There. Comes back to there. Goes up to there. So back. Oh, jerk. Which comes over to there. Which comes down to there. Which goes back. Comes back. Comes over. Comes down. Comes back. Okay.
Did you see my email that I sent before class?
No.
Okay. I have to immediately pick up a package. So, because it has a live animal in it. And
Okay.
it says now that it's ready for pickup. So, is it okay if I step out for like 20 minutes or 30 maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, sure. I mean, just make sure you watch the recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this stair thing, is it going to be uploaded to a discussion?
Yes, it will be. But just go get your animal.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Other questions? Did that suffice? Okay. You're all ready for a break? I am. Okay, so let's take a 10-minute break and come back. Okay? Is this? I'm gonna go with black. This is pure black. And I'm gonna turn off my perspective tool. And I'm gonna click over here and I'm going to move my size down. That looks good. To 1. That looks good. Okay. So it will be helpful to trace in your horizon line. So let's go ahead and let's trace in your horizon line. Okay. And then you can turn off your perspective tool. Let's go back to light logic, okay? Now what we're gonna do, just for fun, is we are going to use, thank you everybody. We are going to use our paint bucket first. Okay, so let's do this. Let's take our layer that we made, okay, and we want to make a duplicate layer. And then we're gonna turn that layer off. And so now we just have this new duplicate layer, okay? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the paint bucket. Now I have logic and reason for this, so please follow along. I'm gonna hit my color editor, so that's on, okay? Now, the H doesn't matter, the hue, because it's just, we're not gonna use it at all. We want no saturation, okay? And then we're just gonna be moving the light from black to white, so from shade to tint, okay? So let's just start off with that. at 50. So that's going to be our middle gray value. Let's take that, and then let's just make the side of the stairs middle gray value. Okay, now we are going to have a light logic coming from the upper left hand, okay, which is going to push light across our, let's pull it. Let me draw you the arrow of where we're going to pull it from. Let's actually pull it more through here. We're going to pull the light more through here, okay? So this side's the darkest side because it's the side that's facing away from the light. And then let's go to the paint bucket again, and let's open that editor, okay? So why don't we start off with just a 40 in terms of light, and let's put that here. There we go. Okay. Oh, pardon me. Sorry, that should be a 60. Okay, should be lighter than the side over here because this side should be darker. We could actually make that side even darker if we want. We could take it to 40. So this we did a 60. So let's do this as 70. Let's do this at 75. So just a bit of a difference there. And let's do the last one at 80. Okay, because it's up higher towards the light. So let's do the very top step at 90. Okay, now do the second step at 80. Now it should be slightly lighter than the side face that's here, the vertical side. Okay, and then we can go here, and again we're going to go to 70. Again, it should be slightly lighter than this. And then let's go here to 80, excuse me, to 60. That. I don't think that one was 60, was it? That one's 60, that one's 60. That one's, whoops. That one's at 60. So maybe this top one here, let's do it at 55 or 65. Sorry, I keep getting that backwards. We just want it to be different. Okay. Now we could have more extreme. So let's see what we picked this up at. Was 69 at this top part. So let's do 75 at that top part here. There we go. That's a bit better. Okay, we just want there to be something that we can see. Now, our next thing, so there's our second layer, that's the copy. Okay. So this is the idea that we're going for. We can turn that off, and we can see we still have a black and white, just contour drawing. What I want to do is I'm going to take this layer. I'm just going to pick it up. Oh no, don't close. My sketchbook closed. I had crashed. Okay, hold on. Oi, teaching online, so much fun. Cool, there's like a gazillion layers open. Okay. Yay. Haha, finally. Okay, and then there's this layer. Okay, so I've got this layer open right here. Can you see my screen? Is it actually sharing? No, it wasn't actually sharing. Let's try again. Now it's sharing. Okay, so I have the layer with my values, paint bucket values. Okay, and so I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my left and right arrow tool, and y'all, I just want you to drag that over like that. Okay, I'm not worried about the perspective. That's not what we're looking at here. Okay, we put the horizon line in because I do think it's helpful just for us visually. Now, what our goal is here is this. I want you to use the technical pen, okay? And I want you to drag your light all the way down to 0 so you only have black. And then what I want you to do is on the layer that's just the contour, I want you to use just directional lines. So that means that we're going to use lines and they're going to go in one direction. So we're going to just pick a direction. And we're going to use that same direction for the entire side over here. And what you're going to do is I just want you to fill the space with quantitative lines. So the more lines there are, then the darker it's going to appear. I want you to fill the space with lines. If you don't like using the line tool for that, you can turn that off and you can just use this, you can freehand it. Just try to keep the lines all heading in the same direction. Okay, and our goal is to have enough lines there to match the value of the side that we filled in. And the way that you're going to match that value is you're going to squint your eyes at it. And when you squint your eyes at it, it reduces the amount of light that's coming through. And it helps you to see the contrast further. Like so. Quantitative line is how we're working. So that means that the more lines there are, the darker it's going to appear. Try to keep them all going the same way. I find that like a little hard, but I actually kind of prefer the organicness to like using the tool, like the straight line tool. Okay, and so we're just going to fill in the whole space. This is why I wanted my iPad, because I could do this really easier. Just try to keep them all going in the same direction. There could be slight differences, like that. Now, what I don't want to do is I don't want to get too lazy and start scribbling. That's a different type of line. So let me show you the difference, right? The difference would be like, if I was to scribble, I would go like this. That's not directional line. So I got a bit lazy there, so I'm going to be good. I'm going to remove that. Because that's not a good example. And I'm just going to continue. To fill the space with lines till it matches the darkness as close as I can. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to run out of time. But we've covered a lot of stuff today. Gonna fill the space. This is why y'all on cooking shows, they have another one ready. So did Bob Ross, you know, he made 3 paintings per show. That was the magic of Bob Ross. One at the beginning, one in the middle, and one at the end. He would also practice again and again so that he knew that was going to come out good. But then they say that during the session, he would just sometimes change everything, which I think is a lot of fun. Just fill that space in. If you have a stylus, you're probably already done. Just try to keep it directional. Don't cheat. Don't use a fill-in bucket texture or something. And then what you want is you want to squint your eyes. And when you squint your eyes, you want it to look like the same value as the one that you're trying to match. That's the problem with directional line, is that like you can only go one direction. A good way to develop that would be to go crosshatch, but I don't want you to. My trackpad finger is like cramping. It's just like in class when your wrist cramps. Get in there. Thank you. Okay. So sometimes artists will put down like a piece of paper along the edge that they're pulling their directional line to ensure that it's clean. Okay. So that could do with like a little bit more layers of line to try to fill in these spaces in between. Trying to keep it all still very similar in direction. So the idea being is that like you see in here, these areas where I have white space, those spaces would still be, you know, I'd still be working on filling them in so that the value, because all that white is affecting how dark it appears, right? Because the darkness is created by the quantitative lines. So I'd kind of just continue to work down through here. So directional line is created when you have lines that are all running in the same direction. Now, we also have lines that follow forms. Okay, so like let's pick these top 2 stairs and let's work on them. I'm kind of feeling that maybe what I would like to do, and you can do this too. It's like maybe we should make these a little bit more contrasty. It's the wrong color. It's too contrasty. There we go. That's a bit better. Do what you want. Just do what you want time. There we go. There we go. All right, but we're just going to focus on these top two stairs. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this layer. Turn that off. Now, I want this to go up and down directionally. And I'm going to, again, quantitative line. How many lines does it take to make that space feel like that value? Time is running out here, Vaughn. Okay, so what I'm being a bit scribbly here, and I shouldn't be because of time, but the trackpad is also hard to use. So like traditionally you would use like a Micron drawing pen for this, which you might have if you took design, or I think I had the drawing pen removed from the kit. But the other thing that works really well is a ballpoint pen. The nice difference with the drawing pen is that with the drawing pen, it gives you a nice, clean, pristine line. The ballpoint pen can kind of smudge a little bit. Just like that. And then I can squint my eyes and say, does that value look like that value? Could fill in these white spaces a little bit more to get it a little closer. You always want to make sure when you're doing this that you're bringing the lines to the edge of the contours that you're filling in. Okay. Now, the next line here, now think about if we're going to add lines that feel like the form, right, that speak to the dimensionality of the form, and we come to that top step, what happens? Do the lines still go vertical? Well, if they do, the space will look really flat. So instead, we need to think about how those lines would go back in space across the form. And again, you wouldn't scribble. I'm just scribbling because we're running out of time. And I'm also using a trackpad, which is extremely difficult for this. So again, quantitative line closes off the white space in this case and creates the illusion of darkness. Now, the next stair, same exact thing, vertical, right? Those lines are going to go up and down. Then the top stair, those lines are going to go back. Now, when you do lines that go back, think about your perspective. Where is that vanishing point? And let those lines go to the perspective. Now, they don't have to be perfect orthogonals, okay? But they should feel the same distance or the same trajectory. So work on that for a minute, and I'm going to bring something up from your Canvas site for you. Okay, so as promised, I'm going to give you, you're going to have one thing that you will have to do. And then as promised, I'm going to give you something else to do, which is going to be optional. So you're going to get to pick your poison as the, if you were, you know, drinking or whatnot, right? Apparently I haven't done this project for a while. That's exciting. Okay, go ahead, wrap that up, take a screenshot and send it to the discussion board, okay? It's not recording. Oh, that was a while ago. Whew. Whew. Okay, I'm actually going to record this last little bit because I'm going to cover the homework choices and the people who are absent might want that, okay? So in that case, they're going to hear my voice for a bit. Right now they're going to see nothing, which is fine. And you're probably going to get some little things right now that say that some stuff has changed, and that is true. Some stuff has changed. Okay.
Do you want the chair posted as well?
Pardon me, I'm not quite certain what you mean.
The chair drawing that we did. Do you want that along with the stairs?
Yes, let's do that. Yeah, yeah, and then let's do this. Yeah, I think I care a bit more about the chair than the stairs, but I care about all of it. But I don't want to overwhelm everybody with like 30 posts. So yeah, I would like as much of it as you can possibly give me so I can see how you did. Thank you. That was a great question. It's going to be the assignment is going to be to this one. There. Okay. I don't like that. I'm going to change that to that. Okay. All right. And then this one is going to change. We're no longer in 2020, so I just need to change all these dates. your class is 12:30, right? Okay. All right. So there's that. There's that. Right. Okay. All right. That looks good. Then this one. Textures and value packet. All right. So what we're going to be doing is kind of having a little bit of a foray into value. And then for some of you, you're going to jump a little bit further into value than others. And then for other ones, you're going to start value a little bit next week because I'm going to give you a choice for your homework. Okay. But everyone's going to do a little bit of the same so that I actually can like have a class that's functioning. If I give you too much openness, right, everyone does something entirely different, then I won't actually be able to like control that. Okay. One last second while you all upload all that stuff, okay? Do, 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 do. Okay. So, we all ready for homework discussion? Okay, so everybody is yeah, that's fine. Just upload it. It's just so I can see where you are. Okay. Everybody is going to do the first thing, and then you're going to have a choice for the second. Okay. Of the two choices, they're both worth 100 points. Okay, they're both due on Monday. I feel one's just a hair more complicated than the other, only in the sense that I think it's more easy to get into. Okay, so all right, you've got two handouts that everyone's going to do. Okay, they're not very long handouts, they're not very difficult. So those will be due on Friday for just digital uploads. Just take pictures of them and upload the work. The first one that everyone's going to do will be the texture and values packet. Okay, and that is here. Oh, I already opened it. No, that was a waste of my time. Okay, so the textures and values packet, it's just a packet for you really to read. Okay, and can you all see the preview of that here? Is that better? Can you see it? I can't see you, so someone's going to have to say yes or no.
I can see it.
Thank you so much. All right, so it just kind of goes through and it talks to you about texture and value. Okay, so it says basically that texture and value are interrelated. Okay, if you remember back at the beginning of the quarter, I gave you an art fundamentals lecture and we talked about different types of textures. We talked about different types of values. Okay, so what you're going to do, it says to use your sketchbook. Obviously, you don't have a sketchbook because I decided not to give you one this quarter. So you could just use the back of a piece of mixed media paper, or if you don't have a spare back, of mixed media paper, then go ahead and just start a new sheet because we're used the back for something else. I'm going to ask you to explore your drawing pencils, okay? And so your pencils, some of your pencils, I just looked at the duplicate list and they gave you a few different pencils. They gave you like an ebony pencil and a 6B and a 4B, something like that. I don't mind. Just play around, okay? You can even play around with the big thick crayons if you want. We're going to start using those probably next week. So I don't mind if you want to like play around with them a little bit. But really the regular wooded pencils are going to be best for this, okay? So on your paper, you really only, you're going to, this is quite simple. 9 squares, okay? 3 rows by 3 columns. Okay, so your mixed media paper is 18 by 24. So 3 rows, 3 columns, you do the math. Okay, so then you're going to look at the provided at the end here. You have 9 examples that are provided to you. And there are different types of visual textures. You're going to recreate each one of these textures. Do not copy my texture. I don't want you to copy my texture. This is not an exercise in copying. This is an exercise in learning how to use line and texture to create value. So like this one, I have directional line. Well then, yours might look like this maybe, but it could also go the other direction. It could also go up and down horizontally, okay? So I'm not asking you to make exact replicas of my values here. I'm just asking you to learn these different processes. So we have directional line, we have hashtag, we have sort of scattered mark making, we have wavy line, we have zigzag pattern making, we have scribbles, we have scribble with sort of concentrated scribble with marks on the outside that are broken. We have, pointillism, as they call it. And then we have more of like a sketchy mark making pointillism. Okay, these are just 9 different types of things. They don't have to be exactly like this. The idea is that what you have are different approaches to using marks and lines to create value. Okay, so I just like kind of gave you some stuff. This is the only page I need. The 9 boxes, okay? But I also gave you a total draw if you want to, okay? And then a discussion for you on how to use linear line to create values. So this is a little drawing that I made at University of Washington at the library. And so here you see my contour line drawing, and there you see my line drawing with quantitative line creating value. Okay, so if you go through, here's just the thing. I'm not going to go through the packet with you, okay? I'm giving you the packet. It took me, a little bit of time to make this for you. That means that what's in this packet you should learn. So if you come back to class and you don't know what composite values, composite shapes are, then that means you didn't read the packet. Okay, so this is a really easy little exercise. This is a warm-up exercise, really. You're just making it a bit larger just because I would love for you to have the chance to explore this idea on a larger scale. And I'm so excited for you to do that. So this is some, you got a bit of student examples here, you can see. Okay. So the size of the squares, how they're distributed, up to you. Don't ask me measurements. I'm not going to give them to you. Okay, I'm not going to give you the answer. You figure it out. All right, so then the other handout that I want you all to do, this is for everybody, is this one that says Edward Gorey handout. Okay. Oh, it's not there. Well, you can't do it, can you? You're all free to go. You can go home. Wait, you are home. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, I'll have to give me 1 second to go find it. I thought, I mean, you can see it's there. Why is it not there? Maybe it's right here. It's right here. Is it there? I don't know. Yay, yay, there it is. Okay. So I'll go ahead. It's inside the Edward Gorey drawing. I'll pick it up for you and put it in the other one too, so you know where it is. Because I want everyone to do this handout. So Edward Gorey is an American illustrator. I hope this is the right one now. And he is, yeah, it is. Yay. Good job, me. So Edward Gorey is an American illustrator. They say the person that killed Edward Gorey in terms of the sort of like social cultural importance of Edward Gorey was Lemony Snicket. So you can kind of think about Edward Gorey as the Lemony Snicket of his day. He does these brilliant illustrations that are, you know, really influenced by Victorian aesthetics. You know, if you want to find out about really weird people, learn about the Victorians. They were really strange people, and much of what they decided in terms of morality and social behavior is still impacting us today. One of the things I love about the Victorian period is the hair art. Okay, and that is this sort of fascination that they had with hair, where they would make tapestries with hair, they would make sculptures with hair, they would make jewelry with hair. And the ideas were really simple, really. Like they would use hair that often came from someone who has been deceased. And it was partly it was about like mourning and grief. It was also about the idea that, you know, this was a remnant of this person that could be reflected upon. And the thing that's really interesting about the Victorian idea of grief is that you weren't placed into mourning as a way to honor the person. I mean, that was part of the reason. But in particular for women, you were placed into mourning to be uncomfortable. So they had very sort of like the idea, the thing that you see in old movies where there's like a locket and you open the locket and there's a picture of the person and it's a lock of their hair. That was partially so you could look at that thing and you could say, you know, you're someone I loved and I've lost you. But the other reason that it was there was to remind you of the pain that you should have. so I always find that to be really interesting. Edward Gorey used quantitative line, like, you know, just genius, okay? And so these are his illustrations, and these were mostly for children's books, okay? And you're good. This project is fun, I think, because it asks you to employ the style of Edward Gorey, and you could just use a ballpoint pen or a micron pen. And you're going to create a 1-point perspective space, but you get to fill the space and you get to use the style of Edward Gorey, which is kind of spooky, kind of weird, very Victorian. And you get to design that space and illustrate that space. Everybody has to do this page. Okay, this is a page that everybody has to do. Okay, so you just use a pen and you're going to apply a line. You could do it digitally if you want to do it digitally. I don't know why I'm saying that because I'll be like, why did I let them do that? But I'm going to let you do that. You can do it digitally or with a pen. You can print it out and use a pen and then take a picture and upload it. I think that's why I'm saying you can do it digitally, because it would eliminate that step for you. But you could do it digitally or you could do it with a pen, and you're going to follow the line directions, use the quantitative line system that looks like the Edward Gorey style, which I explain here, and is also linked to your texture and value packet. And you basically are going to fill in these two little drawings, okay, using a pen. Everybody has to do this little value scale. So value is light and dark. and you're just going to use quantitative line to create a little value scale. Now this packet that I made for you will, one of the things that Edward Gorey does is he rhymes. He did a lot of rhyming. And so you see that when I made the packet, I actually wrote all these little rhymes for you. Okay, so you should go through this packet because it took me yonks to make this. This is a student example of the assignment. Okay, so what I think you should do is I think you should research Edward Gorey. Most of you, I think, would be interested in just kind of the pictorial world that he created. It's a fun sort of place. And then you're going to go either back to one of the 1-point perspective drawings you did when you sketched spaces, or you're going to go to a new space and you're going to create a new 1-point perspective drawing. And then you're going to fill the drawing in with quantitative line. The drawing has some requirements in terms of what you have to have. So it tells you, cut a piece of 24 by 18 mixed media paper down to 14 by 11. Okay, then it says recreate your perspective drawing. I would do your drawing. I would always do a practice drawing on another sheet of paper and then recreate it on your final sheet of paper. Figure out what the perspective is. This is the first perspective that you're going to do, right? Where you're not using the computer. So for some of you, you say, oh, I'm not doing that. I'm not ready for that. That's fine. That's why you got another choice. But some of you are ready for this. You're kind of itching to get to pencil. Let's go there. So use a ruler, create your perspective. Then use Edward Gorey's drawings as inspiration. Apply lines and textures to your drawings with a pen. Sorry, I didn't provide one for you this time. So with either a ballpoint pen or a drawing pen. I wouldn't use a marker because it's going to bleed. Okay. I used to give everyone the pen. That's why it says don't lose the pen. I used to give them to everybody in class, so you don't need to worry about that. It's going to work best if you use black, but you could use blue if you want. I wouldn't use red. I think your eyes will be on fire by the time you're done. You have to use 3 bats, okay, like the animals, okay, because that's like Edward Gorey's really spooky, so you have to use 3 bats. And you must include a line of text that includes a capital letter drawn in 2-point perspective. So how would you do that? Well, you've just drawn a box. You just drew some stairs. You just drew a chair. If you could draw those things, you can draw the letter A in perspective. So what I would do there is I would actually use the computer to figure out the perspective of my letter and then use that to copy by hand. And then you don't have to bring it in, right? Because you don't have a class. Okay, so quite, you know, these are some beautiful examples for you of different ways to use texture. Okay, and I also gave you some pictures of bats. These are Edward Gorey bats, and that's just bats. They're just batty. They're just flying around. Okay, and so you could use those for influence, or you could go get your own bats. I just saw typical Florida. I just saw a card today from the state that said, "Don't capture and hold bats." You know, because we shouldn't capture and hold bats. What I've got for you here too, I think everyone should enjoy this, is this, which is just some student examples. Okay. And I really like this project. And if you're an interior design student, the interior design department really likes this project. I've had a lot of discussions from a lot of their instructors, and they like this project in particular. These are some examples from students, okay? So it kind of gives you some different types of notes about that, right? So this is the student's sketch of this 1-point perspective space. And then this is their finished work with their rhyme at the top. And then there's their bats. Okay. And then you can see they use scribbling. They used vertical line. They used directional line. Okay. Cross contour line to describe form and edge. So here's another example. Okay. So here we can see that instead of having like real life bats, they had like decorative bats. Look at the cross hatching on the floor. quantitatively building up to show darkness and light. Ha ha ha. I think this is a fun project. Students like to do little things like this little like monster under the bed, right? And the thing that's about this is that like this is a project, y'all, where like students do the work and then I say, this is what you need to do again, go do it again. And if they continue to work on it the way I push them to work on it, it comes out pretty cool. Like this little ET over here. I was like, we can't really tell that's ET, make it look more like ET. So this project I think is a great project. And for some students, because it's so imaginative, it can really get away from them. You know what I mean? Like it's too much fun. Remember that it's a perspective drawing first and foremost. Okay. And the rest of it is, you know, we're using Edward Gorey and the pen. Some of these are just too interior designy for me. I'm sorry, interior designers. I'm very fond of having you in class, but this is, I mean, it's a great drawing, but it looks a bit too much like a project board for me. But it's a really nice drawing and I shouldn't rat on it, you know. This is a great little drawing right here. But I mean, I'll get it. I totally get it. Totally get it. But this one I really like. The student was on the bus for their original drawing and then they sort of, you know, it seems like I'm always en route because of the long commute. It's just fun. Okay. So that's that option. And don't take offense, interior designers. It's just, you know, they look a bit project boardy. So the other project is this. Are you ready? Exactly what you did for a 1-point perspective, right? You did a 1-point perspective, digital 1-point perspective city. Exactly the same thing, but 2-point perspective. Okay. Now, of course, I'm going to write up that, and now what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to basically like I'll make an assignment for that, and some of you will do that, and some of you do the other one, and so then like you'll get excused from one, so it doesn't affect your grade. Okay. But I put some criteria in the 2-point perspective, just like I did for the 1-point perspective. Okay. Questions?
Do you want us to turn in the required Edward Gorey thing into the handout one? Or
Mhm.
the handout?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So I'll make like what I'll do for y'all is I'll like right now I'll sit down and I'll go ahead and make an announcement. Okay. And then you can make your choice and decision. I know some of you are ready to move away from the digital. I am too. Okay. And I know for some of you that you want a bit more time. Heck, it answers the problems for you, right? So if you're struggling, the fact that it answers the problems for you is great. But at some point, you know, let's take the training wheels off. Okay. And let's ride into a tree. The only thing at risk is your grade. Just joking. I will help you. We will get through it. Okay. No one's going to be left to like tread water alone. Okay.
So the Edward Gorey drawing is going to be due Monday?
Yep.
If we do it?
Yep.
Okay. Same with the texture and value packet and all the other stuff?
No, your texture and value packet, which is basically just 9 squares of drawing, and the Edward Gorey handout will be due on Friday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's not, to me, that's like, those things won't take you very long. If it takes you 5 hours to do the 9 squares of values, reach out to me because you're doing it wrong. I would imagine the longest part of that is going to be you doing the math. to measure the space to get the squares on the page. Okay, because that's what would take me the longest. Right? I'd be like,
For that,
what, you know?
for that, you said originally we were supposed to do it on like a sketchbook thing, but because we don't have one, we should do it on the big piece of paper. If we do have one, can we still do it on that? Okay.
Thank you. I just can't, like, I need some direct equal measurement so that nobody is doing, you know, a third of the work that someone else is doing. Plus, it won't harm anybody to do a nice big drawing like that. And we will be leaving digital pretty much entirely. Okay. So we're gonna be moving away from Sketchbook. And then within a few weeks, you're gonna be doing 3 foot by 4 foot drawings. Yay. All right, sorry I ran over. Okay. You know, not even all 10 minutes of that were jokes. I barely told any jokes. Right. Reach out if you need me. I'll write up the announcement right now so that it goes out. So the only thing that everybody has to do is the texture and value squares. There's 9 of them. And there's a very tiny little value chart and a little page of drawings that everybody has to do from Edward Gorey. Take some time to learn about Edward Gorey. I think you will like his work. It's really exciting stuff. It's really fun. Okay. And reach out if you need me. Cheerio.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't get mad at me, Eleanor. Okay.
No, no.
I like my interior designers. Okay.
I like your jokes.
Yeah, I like to just, you know, I like to have people. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
Ashton, do you still mean to be there or you're out?